This is probably my favorite part. I'm not sure how we got into talking about this. The original interview was lost except for these sections you're now hearing. And fortunately, these are the best sections. Anyway, at this point, Hendrix is so animated he gets up and starts pacing about the room. Now I should mention this was done with a single handheld microphone. There's certain advantage to this. You have to sit alongside the person so you can swing the mic back and forth, from your questions to their answers. And it's sort of rubbing shoulders with the person, and it enables you to touch the person. I don't mean necessarily physically touching, their arm or their hand or something. But, I mean mentally touch the person, sort of sync your mind with their mental state. You have to feel the person, and they need to feel you. See, you're okay. And it establishes a trust. And as I've said, Hendrix's presence was so strong, and the energy in the room was so hot at this point, that I was high for a week after doing this interview. One last thought. I realized that if I approached Hendrix as the pop star, he would have been forced to reply as the pop star. And that's what this interview would have been, the pop star talking about his records. But I wanted to talk with Hendrix the person, the artist, and he replied as that, and that's what we get in this section. I think it's a rare and kind of a beautiful view of Hendrix as he talks about his childhood memories and his dreams.
Can you remember when you was a little baby? I think your memory comes through.
No, to about the age of 2.5.
Yeah.
But it came back like a dream.
Yeah, there you go. When you think about it now, it's just blank before that, then you think of that. But I think that's the way it comes about on some other singers too, Because human beings die too easily,
What about the animal? You said the animal.
Like you might see an animal or something like that, and also you might have a very funny feeling go through you for a second.
Do you mean like looking into his eyes, or
yeah,
not necessarily, or just the animal itself?
Yeah, one time I seen this deer, and because I see a lot of deers around where I used to be from. I said, wait, something went through me for once, like I'd seen him before. I mean, like I had some real close connections with that deer for one split second, and then it just went away like that, That happens, like a lot of friends of mine told me about that happened to them, Have you ever laid in bed and you was in this complete state where you couldn't move, or couldn't, or nothing like that, but you're like that, and you feel like you're going deeper and deeper into something, not sleep, but it's something else.
Yeah, exactly.
And every time I go into that, then I say, oh hell, I'm scared as hell. You get all scared and stuff, so you try to say, help, help. You can't move, you can't speak, but you say, help, help. You gotta get out of it, because you just can't move. It's a very funny feeling. But one time I was going to try it. One time that feeling was coming through me, I said, oh, here we go. This time I'm going to see if I'm going to see what happen, see where I go to, or to see what happens, So I was really getting really scary, man. I was going like that, I said, I'm not even asleep, So this is really strange. And somebody knocked on the door, I said, oh. Because I wanted to find out.
Can you remember something really far back?
I remember when the nurse put the dice. I remember when.
Can you really?
Yeah, when the nurse. I don't know what I was there for, but I remember when I used to wear diapers. And then she was like talking to me. She took me out of this crib or something like that. And then she held me up to the window. This was in Seattle. And she was showing me something up against the sky, and there was fireworks and all that. It must have been the 4th of July, And I remember her putting the diaper on me and almost sticking it, I was asleep, when she put like that. I remember I didn't feel so good, I must have been in the hospital sick about something. And I had a bottle and all that kind of stuff. And then she held me up to the window. She said, she's saying something about that, And I was looking, and the sky was this.
Almost an acid thing.
Oh, that's right. That's what it was, because only beforehand. Our first trip there. And nurse turns around. Being high off the penicillin, she probably gave me some.
Can you remember any others?
Well, I was small enough to fit in the clothes basket. I remember when I was small enough to fit in the clothes basket. The straw clothes baskets they have in America?
Yeah.
You put all the dirty clothes in. And there's only about like that.
They call them hampers.
Yeah, hampers.
Yeah.
I remember my cousin and I was in there playing around.
Oh, yeah.
That must have been when I was about 3 or something like that. And like sometimes when you're sitting around, you start remembering some of the things that happened beforehand. Those are the first two that comes to my mind. And some dreams that I had when I was real little, Like my mother was being carried away on these camel. And there was a big caravan. She's saying, well, I'm going to see you now. And she's going under these trees. You can see the shade, the leaf patterns across her face, while she's going on this, like that. And the sun, how the sun shines through a tree, and if you go under the shadows of the tree, the shadows go across your face. Well, these were in green and yellow shadows. Like she said, well, I won't be seeing you too much anymore, so I'll see. And then about 2 years after that, she died, And I said, yeah, but where you going though, like that? I remember that. I always will remember that. I never did forget. There's some dreams you never forget. Like one time, there's this one dream you go down like that. This real big hill, but it has real long grass, and then there's a whole lot of bananas down the floor, of the floor of this hill, but they're all spread all over, and they're growing from the ground by each one separate. Then I remember that, and we was skating across that. I don't know how we were, but what you do is you pour this stuff out that we made up. It's big bags. You pour it out across the bananas, and it fills up all the gaps, and then you skate across it. I remember those things.
You must have been dreaming in color when you were very young.
Oh, definitely. I don't remember too many. The closest to a black and white dream I ever had was in pastel shades.
Yeah.
One time it was in pastel shades, like it was maroon and dark, and then very light blue, and then this big gold cliff out of the middle of nowhere. That was great. That was the closest I ever got to black and white.
This final section is only a few words about reincarnation and death.
People really believe that every single person is born here is completely different. I mean that's true, but through the times, can you imagine all these? What if we all supposed to go to heaven? Can you imagine all these people who died before him, and all of us, all of them in heaven, all of them top of each other? Hey man, move over, man. I had the rule up here. It's like, well, you had no business dying, did you? Oh God. So can you imagine that? Wow.
This has been an interview with Jimi Hendrix. Your guide has been Paul Fulton.